Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. This is episode 086, and today I am coming to you with all the things that I've been crocheting this week. Y'all, it has been a really good week for finishes. I was really close to finishing a couple of projects last week, and sure enough, those have come to fruition. So let me go ahead and show you what I have done. All right, so number one, we have the Alectrona shawl. All right, so this one is made with Barocco Vintage DK in the colorway Slow Berry. And I used a 5.5 millimeter hook, and it's a DK weight yarn. And y'all, this thing is beautiful. I'm so glad to have it done. I'm going to go ahead and drop in some footage of me modeling it so you guys can get a sense of how it lays. So mine ended up being about 30 inches deep and about 66 inches wide. So pretty big shawl. And I didn't complete the entirety of the pattern. There's about 49 rows and I only got to about row 46, and after that I kind of fudged it. But as I've been putting it on, I realized how wonderfully big it is. And so if I had had enough yarn, I would have made it a little bit too big even. I think it would have overwhelmed me. As it is, with that kind of circular shape, I think it works really well draped around your shoulders. I think for wearing something in the front, I like a triangle shawl a little bit more for that, for more of that kind of scarfy feel. But this one is a true shawl. And then when you have it on, you can kind of see at the shoulders that kind of leafy shape that those pointed rays make. And then it flows out into those beautiful kind of floral, almost pineapples. There's a lot of kind of puff stitches, stitches together, and some chain spaces in there, so it makes a really effective, beautiful design. So yes, this one I am going to submit to my local fair. Hopefully I'll submit it to the fair. We'll figure out a way to make that happen. But I really do love how it turned out. The yarn itself, man, I was playing yarn chicken. I only had about this much left. It took me a little bit of time to figure out exactly how I was going to finish it off. I was doing some math in there, and then I just realized I needed to keep it pretty simple. I ended up just doing some single crochet over the chain stitches. That was the last row that I could actually work. Anyway, I'll have details of what I did listed in the description box in my Ravelry page where I describe the process, my project page for that. So number one, Alectrona shawl is done. The next thing that is done is my Christmas sweater. Y'all, I will affectionately know it as my ugly Christmas sweater. I think it's kind of hideous the way it's shaped. It's bulbous, it's huge. It is not at all what the pattern was calling for. I think the actual Mount Tremper sweater is a lot more fitted. It's really chic. This is wild and wonderful. I'm gonna drop in some footage here now of me modeling it. So it really did come together a lot quicker than I thought it would. So here it is. It's not even the end of July, and I didn't even start it in the beginning of July, and here we are done. I love how it turned out. I love that this gave me an excuse or a reason to put some of those more unusual fibers to work. The Lion Brand homespun, the kind of bumpy yarn, that means the chenille yarn, the sparkly yarn that I don't really tend to work with. And I did kind of keep that grounded with kind of like the Caron Simply Soft, the shiny yarn. Those are yarns that I typically don't work with a whole lot, but it was a really great project to kind of bring them all together and make this wonderful, fantastical creation. In order to finish it off, instead of weaving in all the ends individually, I did the French braiding technique, both on the sleeve up to a point and then down the side, because what you do, you make the front and the back, you sew them together, and then you crochet the sleeve back and forth onto it, and then you just seam up from the cuff all the way down to the waistband. So I seamed it, but then with all these ends, I braided them. Instead of tying a knot at the end, I used like a clothespin and I clipped off where I had kind of finished, and then I took a regular sewing needle and thread and I stitched through there, kind of stitched a knot on there, so that way it won't come out. Now this is definitely going to be a hand wash only. Hopefully I won't be wearing it enough, sweating in it enough to make it require a lot of washing, because it will have to lay flat to dry just with all those various fibers. But wow, I do love how it turned out. If anyone is making something similar to this, please do let me know. I'd love to see pictures of that. Feel free to email me and I'll certainly feature it here on the channel in the future. It was really fun to do, highly recommend. And yeah, I do have quite a bit of the leftover scraps of this yarn, but as many of those came initially from my favorite Yarny thrift store, I'm going to donate them actually back to that thrift store and kind of have that circular thrifting goodness, so to speak. I got a lot of good use out of it, and I think someone else could possibly get some use out of the other yarn scraps as well. So very glad to have that done. That is my Christmas in July done. And now I can set that aside and move on to the other things. Maybe go back to the sweater that I abandoned in order to do this one, for example. Now I did find time for one other project to start it and complete it. Cassandra, this is for you. This is Buddy Bunny. All right, so if y'all know Cassandra from Craftably Ever After, she has Buddy Bear as a free pattern from her blog, and she also has Buddy Bunny. And this is made out of Red Heart Retro Stripe. I used a 3.75 millimeter hook on this. And wow, this is my second time doing one of Cassandra's patterns, one of her bear patterns. I did Buddy Bear before, and now I have Buddy Bunny. I just love her. I think she's so fun and so joyful. I even did the tail and back. I almost forgot the tail, and then after I had embroidered the face, I came back and did it. So this is one of those patterns where I decided to work the arms first and then the ears. I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of contrast within it, and I think all the placement of colors turned out pretty fun. I did not know when I started this who this would eventually go to, but as I came close to finishing it, I realized, oh my goodness, I am bringing a meal to a friend with a new baby. And their little girl is, I think, almost 3, and she has been dethroned as the princess in the house. So I thought this would be just right to have a special little gift for that dethroned princess and hopefully help her feel a little bit cheered up, that she's thought of, she's remembered. Life is not all about the baby, but she has something special too. So in that sense, I did want to make sure I used just embroidery thread on the face, knowing that this one was going to go to a house with small ones, and I didn't overstuff it. That's the one thing that I kind of wish I could have done. I am not super familiar with using polyfill. Normally I will do scrap yarns to fill my amigurumi, but I wanted this to be fully washable. So I could have stuffed it a bit more, but you know what? With that retro stripe, with that worsted weight yarn, it did end up being a little bit stiff. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it'll matter in the long run. Anyhow, absolutely fantastic pattern. Loved working it up. And Cassandra, I hope you like seeing one of your patterns made up in one of those super fun yarns. So she is finished, and she will be going to her forever home in the near future. What does that leave me? Well, I did go ahead and start a new hat, and this is not a new pattern to me. This is a pattern that I mentioned in previous videos. This is the forest green hat, and I am making it up in Plymouth yarn, Hardy Homestead Tweed. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook, and I am about maybe 1/4 of the way through. To make this hat, you do 6 of these kind of triangular type wedges, and then you just continue like doing the short rows, like working back up all the way until the top. I don't know that I'm explaining that very well, but I'm trying, guys. I'm only on my first hank of yarn, and I think I'm only going to need a little bit of my second hank, but I'm pretty sure that I will be able to get a gorgeous hat out of this. The yarn is pretty soft for a wool. It's a little bit scratchy, but since it'll be on my head and I have pretty long hair, it shouldn't ought to be that much of a problem. So beautiful, beautiful stitch pattern. Love how it's working up. This is yarn over slip stitches in the back loops only, and so it gives a really great texture and a really great stretch as well. Love how this is coming along, and hopefully in the near future that will be finished. Y'all, that is really the only thing that I'm working on right now. I'm kind of in a loss of what am I going to work on next. I did pick up a couple of cakes of yarn. I'll show you those real quick. I had an idea for something to come up in the future, and I was looking at Joann's website and I thought, you know what, let me just go ahead and bite the bullet. So Joann's had a coupon for $5 off $10 purchase or more. And at the same time, all of their Lion brand yarn was 25% off. And I was looking at the Lion brand mandala cakes in some of the new colors. I've used it in the past. I've liked it, but for me, my lifestyle is really more of a minimize the hand wash kind of things. There's not just a lot of space to lay things flat to dry. So if I'm going to use mandala, I need to make sure that it's projects that aren't going to require a good wash. That's what I have in mind for these. So I did choose 2 of them. And with the discount, so originally these are now priced at $9.49 a cake, which to me is kind of wild. I remember not that long ago, I got one of those bonus bundles, like 1,000 yards of yarn, of mandala yarn for about $10. And the mandalas were only about $5 a piece. So things have changed, but here we are. I was actually able, using that coupon, to get these both for a total of $9.24 with those discounts. So then with tax, it was right at $10 to get these 2. So back to about $5 a piece. Let me tell you about the colors I chose. This one is called Banshee. And if you look at the website, it might be a little bit brighter than it is in person. These are slightly muted colors, but you have kind of an orange going into like a burnt pumpkin, going into a beautiful chocolate brown, and then kind of a darker fuchsia, almost like, it's not a brick red, but it's kind of in between. Like if brick red and fuchsia got together, this would be their baby. Then we have kind of a sandy brown and on into a peachy pink. So that is Banshee. To go with it, I got Dragon. So Dragon starts in kind of a medium brown, and it goes into kind of a gray undertoned dark brown, kind of like a walnut color. And then it goes into several colors of teal and aqua up until it starts turning into more of those green shades. And it goes into like a deep forest green, then kind of an olive green, and then up into like a lighter khaki color. So that is Dragon. And I thought the 2 of those together were really beautiful. I get all the warm tones in here, all the cool tones in here, and whatever project I come up with will integrate both of those and hopefully bring me a lot of joy. And I can't wait to share that with you eventually in time. So that's all I've been working on this week in crochet. It does feel like a lot just because I got some finishes done. And to be honest, this little bunny, this took some time, y'all. I'm slow at amigurumi, but I am proud of the face and how it's turning out, how it gives me more practice every time. So lots to be thankful for, lots that I've enjoyed this week, and lots to look forward to in the future. I'm at the moment now when I get to look at my yarn stash and think, what do I want to work on next? Whatever it is, I'm already excited in advance for sharing it with you because I know it's going to bring me a lot of joy. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. That has brought me a lot of joy, and I do appreciate you just allowing me into your life in a small way. This world is wide and wonderful. There's so much going on in it, and I do really treasure the fact that you've taken some of your time and out of your busyness to spend a little time with me. Thank you so much to everyone who has liked and shared and commented and subscribed. And if I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I really do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.